Jamie, today you told us 4 ways that we tend to run from God, but one of the questions I have is, why is it in our nature to want to run from God?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually wrestled with the title to this series. I originally entitled it Run for Your Life, which I thought was a great double entendre on the whole thing, but our creative team thought it better to call it Born to Run. One of the reasons I okayed that title is because, in a sense, one could very much argue that we are born to run, that it's in our nature to run from God. And some of you would say, well, what's that about? Well, one of the things the Bible makes really clear is that all of us are born not with a blank slate, as if somehow we're born innocent, but we are born with a fallen, sinful nature that isn't going to want to do life God's way. The Bible says that this sin nature from Adam and Eve all the way back to Genesis 3 is in us. You can read about it in Romans 6. The first 12 verses make it really clear that we are born in a fallen state. So the reason that's important is that many of us then are going to struggle from the time that we're just little people with many, many things in our lives, including this tendency to want to avoid intimacy with God, to remain stuck in sinful behaviors, to withdraw from others that we need spiritually, or to say no to His call. It's a tendency, it's a bent of our sinful nature to do that. And get this, even when we become Christians, even when we get saved, we're still going to battle what Galatians 5 calls the flesh, our fallen sinful nature. The good news is that we can now have victory over it at times, and victory over it many times. In other words, the Spirit can win over the flesh. But the battle is still there. The Reformers saw that as a dualistic battle in many ways. In other words, we're going to be battling that until the day that we die. And sometimes the flesh will win, sometimes the Spirit. What we hope is that as we walk with God, and this is true, that the Spirit wins out. And surely we can have victory in each instance as we walk with God. But that doesn't lessen the battle. In fact, it intensifies it. And the reality is that all of us are going to have a tendency to want to run from God in various ways in our lives. The good news is, as the old hymn writer says, is that victory is ours, that we can win as we walk with God, take courage, and move toward Him.
Thank you, Jamie.